say follow your heart, follow it through.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Siouxsie and the Banshees songs.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we'll be ranking the best, most popular and well-known tracks from these post-punk and gothic rock pioneers. What's your favourite Siouxsie and the Banshees song? Let us know in the comments. Number 10, Night Shift.
Only at night time I see you in darkness.
The Juju LP is considered by many critics and fans to be among the best albums from Siouxsie and the Banshees. It's also one of the darkest, with this fourth full length combining the best of the band's punk rock roots with a growing atmospheric sound. Night Shift exemplifies this sort of brooding sound, with guitarist John McGeoch ensuing fancy licks for a layered and effects-laden approach, not dissimilar to that of The Cure's Robert Smith. Elsewhere, Siouxsie's vocals add an otherworldly sense of mystery to the stabbing riff accompaniment by McGeoch. It all adds up to an excellent slice of proto-goth, electrifying rock and roll. Number 9, Candyman. Siouxsie and the Banshees were never content to be complacent within one style or way of doing things in the studio. Instead, the band has largely jumped styles over the years, and to much critical acclaim. The Tinderbox album from 1986 is a transitional album of sorts, their first with guitarist John Valentine Carruthers, and a more pronounced dive into the atmospheric world of goth rock. Candyman is a great example of this idea, with Carruthers' guitar style sounding impressively ethereal and melodic. This approach is aided by the polished mid-80s production style, and Siouxsie's haunting vocals about some very troubling subject matter. This Candyman is impossible to resist. Candyman. Number 8, Slow Dive. Fans of the 90s shoegaze band Slow Dive may not be surprised to hear about the profound influence this Siouxsie song had upon that group prior to their formation. After all, it's easy to hear how an experimental album like the Banshees' A Kiss in the Dream House would inspire legions of alternative rockers over a decade later. Slow Dive is upbeat and danceable, sure, but it's also unsettling, thanks to John McGeoch's experiments with some harsh violin and cello melodies. The relentless beat makes it easy for Siouxsie to make her vocals equally percussive, creating an atmosphere that's at once hypnotic and psychedelic. Number 7, Happy House. It's nearly impossible to separate the style and personality of Siouxsie Sioux from the creative output of the Banshees. That said, it's drummer Budgie who really steals the show here on Happy House, taken from the band's third album, Kaleidoscope. Budgie's world music influences really shine through within the song's rhythmic bass, while John McGeoch's debut recording with the Banshees results in some haunting guitar effects near the song's back end.
Happy house, we're happy here in the happy house to forget ourselves.
Happy House is a bitter and sarcastic ode to the darkness potentially lurking beneath the surface of an everyday family structure. And it's one of Siouxsie and the Banshees' best songs. Number 6, Israel. Banshees fans that were perusing the singles stacks back in 1980 might have come across this release from Siouxsie Sue and Co. Israel was released in between the band's Juju and Kaleidoscope albums, and possesses an airy expansiveness that immediately makes its presence known as something special. It's a slow build as Israel moves from layers of percussion and guitars into a massive choral accompaniment, giving the song an almost religious flavour. The song was actually written by the band with Christmas in mind, so this feeling actually feels somewhat intentional, a holiday song unlike any other. Number 5, Face to Face.
Face to face, my lovely foe.
Face to Face is another Siouxsie and the Banshees songs that didn't appear on any of their studio LPs. Instead, the song was co-written with composer Danny Elfman for the soundtrack to Tim Burton's Batman Returns.
In your deadly time, it's too divine.
Elfman's contributions are apparent right from the jump too, as Face to Face is truly cinematic in scope. The string sections add depth to Siouxsie's breathy and exotic vocals, while the band's rock sensibilities take a back seat to the creation of feeling and mood. It's easy to hear how Face to Face fits in with Burton's uniquely quirky vision for the Dark Knight. Heck, Sue even lets up a couple of purrs. You know, just to fit in with the whole Catwoman mystique. And it totally works.
Face to face, the passions breathe.
Number 4, Arabian Nights. We return to the Juju album for our next entry, the evocative and driving Arabian Nights. The punk rock roots of Siouxsie and the Banshees are still set on full display here, although the aggression is tempered by John McGeoch's textured guitar work. There's a progressive sensibility on Arabian Nights that embraces all of the Banshees' varied influences, from German krautrock bands like Can or Faust to reggae and world music rhythms. It all speaks to a post-Sex Pistols Britain where punk rock was expanding beyond its borders and searching for a new identity. And Arabian Nights dives headlong into seeking out new and exciting sonic pastures. Number 3, Cities in Dust. Siouxsie and the Banshees were adept at creating many moods, from the deepest darkness to the most infectious dance numbers you've ever heard. Cities in Dust is from the latter school, a smashing single from the band's Tinderbox album that features one of Siouxsie Sue's best choruses, full stop. Sure, Cities in Dust is spooky, kooky, and altogether ooky, but it's also a killer dance floor anthem from the 80s and a true nostalgia trip if we ever heard one. The songwriting is both exceptional and economic here, hanging on those big melodies and that instantly memorable chorus from Sue. We defy you not to sing along with Jam. Number 2, Hong Kong Garden. First, to address the elephant in the room. Yes, Hong Kong Garden does incorporate nearly every Asian stereotype in the book when it comes to its musical and lyrical choices. Heck, the thing even closes out with a gong. Hong Kong Garden never comes across as mean or spiteful, however. It is intentionally making these choices in order to poke holes into xenophobic phobia Siouxsie Sue saw firsthand. She told The Independent in 2014 all about the abuse she would see hurled at the owners of her local Chinese takeaway, and decided to write about it within the musical tribute of Hong Kong God. Number 1. Spellbound.
From the cradle bars comes a beckoning voice, a cinch spinning. You have no choice.
If one were to break down the spirit of goth rock and examine its creative DNA, it's highly likely that those helixes might be completely made up of Spellbound by Siouxsie and the Banshees.
You have no choice. Following the footsteps of a red dawn, don't see our charms.
It's a perfect symbiosis of that genre's punk rock roots, with glimpses of the more sumptuous elements goth would embrace into the mid-80s and beyond.
You hear laughter cracking through the walls, a cinch spinning. You have no choice.
Spellbound is mysterious and infectious, urging us to chant alongside Siouxsie Sue's cries of Spellbound. Meanwhile, John McGeoch's guitar swirls around the whole thing like some sort of demon or djinn, creating another epic masterpiece for Siouxsie and the Banshees' enviable career of hits.
Following the footsteps of a red dawn.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.